and we live we live in a privileged place. We live in a unique place, a melting pot where everybody's opinions can come together. Um, but I really strongly believe that that tolerance is a necessary step, but it's not where we need to go. I think tolerance is like a big enough hurdle for bigoted, racist, Islamophobic people to get past.
Right.
And so, yeah, we got to promote tolerance, tolerance, tolerance. But I think the step beyond that is love. I
Yeah.
think we need to learn to love the other. It doesn't mean you have to like the other. It doesn't mean you have to agree with or, even support some of the agendas of the other, but to love the other for their human dignity and to make that something that we it doesn't sound it doesn't have to sound so religious every time we say it. You know what I mean? It sounds fluffy, it sounds depending on who says it, it sounds Christian, it sounds Muslim, it sounds like it's coming from, a Buddhist person, or a hippie or whatever.
Hmm.
And I think especially among men in Boston, although I think many people are affected by it, but there's this machismo of toughness that it doesn't seem like threatens your identity. You know what I mean? That's like, well, if I go around trying to be like let my guard down and all this stuff, it's a people are afraid to do that. But I think that we need to find a way. And love is such a schmarmy word, and it's used to sell Subarus and Valentine's Day cards. But it's really about just like the brotherhood or sisterhood of man,
Hmm.
and it's about you know Christians teach, although so often fail to live. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yep.
And yet, if you just took a second to think about what it must be like for that other person to just have to live every day. And that's the other thing too. If I was on that train and I stood up for that person and everything went really well and I was proven right and that person, was grateful and everything else, I get to walk off that train and go home and feel great about myself and feel great about, that person has to get on another train tomorrow
Yeah.
and might be subject to the same thing again.
Yeah.
And because I'm not living that experience, I don't understand that. It's beyond. I can even now, like I can pat myself on the back for recognizing that I don't understand it, but I still don't understand it.
Mhm.
And until we can like loving someone as yourself, it sounds simple and we reduce it because the human mind is really crappy at subtlety. We really prefer black and white things because
Yeah.
it's just easier to remember. But loving the other as the self, that means like that means like putting yourself into their shoes so that you can think about what it would be like for the other to be the self.
Hmm.
And that's hard. That requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of effort. And when you're just trying to get to work or when you're just trying to, it's hard to be mindful of that.
Right. No, but I think that's so important, exactly what you're saying. I mean, and that's where, for everything, and I feel like at a certain point in this world, especially in America, I think we did have that. I think, after 9/11, it seems like a lot of this changed and a lot of views changed and a lot of people, a lot of course, terrorist acts started happening more and more, or people were maybe was coming more in media. But at one point, I'll be honest, I did feel, people would ask me like, you ever feel like, as a Muslim, you're different or you're like singled out? And I didn't. And I'll be honest, like I told people, like very rarely at Brandeis, I had some certain situations that I was in. But prior to that, very, very little I felt that. Sometimes by my last name, people would say Hussein and like be like, blah, 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 Saddam Hussein, whatever. But like, to an extent where feeling the way I feel now today about my security, I never felt that. And that's where it's sad because I think that at one point, the fact that I never felt that and now I am, it shows that there's something happening in this country, in this world that's just not okay. And we need to change it. And I don't know how easy it is. And like you said, it's a lot easier said than done. But that idea of loving and, being able to understand someone from, their point, or to be in their shoes, or to try to say, be in that situation for that person. It's hard, but I think it is something that we have to do. And I think no matter what race you are, what religion you are, if we can band together and do that as simply Americans and as simply actually humans, I think we would go even further in life. And yes, terrorism will happen. There's always going to be bigots. There's always going to be ignorance. There's always going to be terrorism. There's always going to be the need and want for power. But at the end of the day, I think that the way you can get rid of that is by the power of love and the power of banding together and being doing the right thing and being strong and saying that we as a people, as a group, are against terrorism, period. And that's where you leave it at, right? And at the end of it, yes, there'll be Muslims that are terrorists. Yes, there'll be Christians that are terrorists. Yes, there'll be Jews that are terrorists. Yes, there'll be Buddhists that are whatever it may be. At the end of it, it's not about religion. Then it's about banding together and stopping something that is just wrong altogether and evil, and something that we as people in general are against.
Hmm.
And I think that's the most important thing.